At age 19, my checking account hit $50,000. And if I had put this money into the stock market, it would be worth 100 grand today. But what did this bozo do instead? And it wasn't even the performance model. 50K today could get you a brand new Tesla with twice the horsepower, or a used Tesla with 4 times the horsepower. All I had to do was be patient and wait. But what actually happened? Well, now I have a paid off Tesla, but it's worth at best $20,000. You could argue my impatience and my consumerist mindset cost me 80 bands. I oftentimes imagine if I had a time machine. I zap into 19-year-old me's bedroom at our parents' house. His hand is literally shaking, hovering the confirm order button. His checking account is pulled up on his phone, bracing for the number to plummet. How do I convince him to make the right choice? He doesn't really listen to what people tell him to do. I mean, maybe he would listen to me since I'm literally him, but even I don't listen to my own advice, so I don't know why he would. Ultimately though, it doesn't matter, because what's done is done. And also because I would have told him to stop hesitating like a fucking pussy. You know you want the car. I mean, your past 5 years has been leading up to this very moment. The only reason you're hesitating is because you won't be able to experience this moment twice. But that's fine, it's whatever. Just really soak it in and press order, you stupid little bitch. Sorry, I'm kind of mean to myself in my head. You shouldn't talk to people this way, but he's me, so I can verbally abuse him. There's a lot of really great memories I have that take place with other people, and I reflect on them a lot, but there's also a couple personal moments where I was completely alone, focused entirely on myself. And it's moments that only I would understand because I was the one who was daydreaming of it, imagining every detail of the experience before it even happened. Not that I was keeping this goal private or personal, because in reality, this was something I had been talking everyone's ears off about every day for well over a year at this point. Everyone close to me knew I was motivated by this one milestone that I could see somewhere in the distance. It's not to say everyone understood or approved. A lot of them were just tolerating my addiction of talking about it. I mean, obsessing over a car this much? It's not even like a nice car. It's a car that hundreds of thousands of other people have already purchased. Even I couldn't explain why I was so fixated on it, but instead of questioning it, I just embraced it. So if I could teleport back to June 21st, 2019, I wouldn't actually do anything. I would just be a fly on the wall and let him enjoy the moment alone, and then I would get to re-experience my favorite memory that was shared with nobody but myself for a second time. I was so overwhelmed that I was like vibrating and I kept having to wipe my eyes. I screenshotted the email and then I sent it to a couple friends. I ordered it an hour before my parents got home, and when I heard them come to the door, I asked them to come to my room for a second. I didn't say anything, I just had this on the screen. My mom reacts immediately. She goes, "Alex, what the heck did you do?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And she's like, "You couldn't have waited at least till I got home?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "How much did it even cost?" And I say 50K. And she's like, "Where'd you get 50K?" I was like, "Yeah, merch has been selling pretty well." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then the longest week of my life began. I ordered a custom spec, but they already had exactly what I wanted in inventory, so all they had to do was ship it from a lot in California, which means it took just 8 days to receive my Tesla, but oh my god, it felt like time stopped moving. Instead of sleeping, I downloaded the car's PDF manual and read it front to back twice. And once I got sick of that, I would just watch delivery day videos of other people getting their brand new Teslas. But finally, the day was here. And it's one of the only experiences in my life that I have no pictures or videos from. I have very few other memories that I was this present for. Absolutely no thoughts of the future, no thoughts of the past. I was experiencing every second as it happened with my full attention. My parents gave me a ride to Tesla's delivery location, and in 2019, there was no big Tesla center in my area. It was this little warehouse tucked in the back of a commercial zone where they'd line up cars on the main road because there was no space on their actual property. It wasn't super busy, but it was so small that just a dozen of us receiving cars meant the building was packed. It felt like I was pulling up to some like secret club, even though it wasn't. It was just a public showroom. And a clearly overworked but polite Tesla employee came up and greeted my dad, and she was like, "Hey, you must be Alex." And she said they're a bit busy, but the car will be pulled in as soon as possible. My dad's like, "Okay, but it's not mine. I'm just here to watch." Meanwhile, I'm just sitting there. I'm like vibrating. I can't feel my legs. I'm just like floating around the warehouse. Before this day, I had a bad habit of loitering at Tesla centers before I ordered one myself. I don't know why they didn't ever like kick me out, but I would just kind of hang out and just watch other people take delivery of their cars. And the best part is no matter how often I went to Tesla, they would let me test drive, oftentimes by myself. I had been going to other not Tesla dealerships to check out used Teslas and a few other cars, but I was often denied not just test drives, but any attention at all. Even if I offered to provide proof of income, a lot of times they'd just be like, "Okay, yeah, that's cool. Just come back when you're ready to buy a car." I took it as they saw me as just some kid trying to waste their time and maybe go on like some test drive joyrides or whatever. But I had walked into a Tesla showroom for the first time, and an employee who I don't think was much older than I was, she came up to say hi, and it wasn't like the fake forced salesman friendliness. The introduction was from a clear Tesla enthusiast who just also happens to work there. She asks if I've driven one before, and I was like, "Nope." So she runs to grab a key and says, "Okay, there's this one road behind the warehouse, and cops don't really come through here. So before you do anything else, get down the road a bit, and then drive as fast as you can." Now, I already knew I wanted a Tesla, but this very moment, before I had even been in a Tesla, was when I knew I was a Tesla customer for life. Up until this point, the culture and attitude was nothing like I had ever experienced before. They never asked to see my bank statements, they never pressured me to buy, and they never shooed me away. After all, the employees aren't getting commission or anything. Their job was solely to let the cars speak for themselves and let people become obsessed all on their own. However, she did tell me some stories about how they'd occasionally take all the fastest showroom models and race them after work hours. And this wasn't a one-time thing. I went to multiple Tesla stores, and not once did a single employee question me for my age or challenge my financial status. They would talk to me for as long as I wanted, answer any questions, and without hesitation. And then they would hand me the key to vehicles with $120,000 price tags. And it wasn't some old like boomer car salesman who starts to hand you the key and then snatches it away like, wait, you better not crash this car, young man. At Tesla, they would hand me a key and say, "Oh, wait, make sure you put it in Ludicrous Plus mode." And they knew what they were doing. First of all, if I crash, it's not on them. Tesla will just send another floor model, I guess, and my insurance might cook me, but they could see in my face that I was enthusiastic about the brand as they were, and if they could hook me, I would do anything in my power to get one of these. And so back to my delivery day. I wasn't there for a test drive. I wasn't watching others take delivery. There were some random single guys there like me who were clearly interested, and families of 4 who were watching me take delivery as they wrap up their test drives. And then I see my spec pull into the warehouse that could fit only a couple cars at a time. There was no silk blanket for me to pull off. There wasn't even like a bow on it. No handshakes, no cheering or anything. Everyone in there was mostly just focused on themselves and what they were up to. It was literally rolled straight off the truck from California and into the building. So they hadn't even finished unwrapping the plastic, protecting the body panels. They hadn't put the aero caps on yet, and it wasn't even fully charged. The employee hops out, he hands the key to my mom, and he's like, "Congrats," and then he hops back on the truck to unload another Model 3 for the next guy. My mom hands me the key, and the original female employee starts reciting her script on how the car works. And I was so excited that any politeness I had kind of just went out the window because I interrupt her and I'm like, "It's good, I know how it works." And I realized it was kind of rude, but she understood my excitement. She just kind of chuckled and to let her know if I had any questions. Now, other Tesla owners told me that when I go for delivery, do a full inspection of the car before signing it off. Check for paint issues and misaligned panels, but my to-do list went out the window. I hopped in the driver's seat. My mom struggled to get the passenger door open, and she sits in the front with me. My dad stands by the driver's side door, and I just sink in to the driver's seat. The smell immediately hits me, and I'm like, "No way, it's got the new car smell." I scroll through the screen, and the car has 4 miles on the odometer. My parents are pointing out things here and there, but I honestly kind of forget what they were saying because I was fully fixated on the car and just absorbing how I felt. And then I realized, oh shoot, we're sitting in the car without floor mats. So my dad got in the back, I put my Tesla into drive for the first time ever, and I pull it around the front of the building to where my parents' car was. I park next to them, and I get all my accessories that I had ordered in advance and brought with me. I got floor mats, I got lug nut covers, a hard drive for the Tesla cam, and a screen protector. It's super hot out, but I spend a couple more minutes just looking at the car before I'm like, okay, I can't wait any longer, let's go. My mom gets in with me, and my dad gets in their car behind me. We pull out a Tesla, and I almost immediately run over a squirrel, and then floor the car for the first time. My one hesitation with buying the base model is it had less performance than the vehicles I had test driven. So I was a little worried it would feel too slow, but no, it had plenty of pull. And in hindsight, I think it's a good thing that 19-year-old me only had 250 horsepower instead of like 500 or 1,000. My mom stayed mostly quiet, but I think she was a little nervous over the speed as I kept punching the accelerator and just going like, oh my God. And then I accelerate again and I'm like, oh my God. We get back to the house and I immediately start finding every excuse to leave. My mom tells me to please not get a speeding ticket. And I'm like, I know I won't. But I'm on top of every errand. I keep forgetting things from the store and I gotta go back. I go pick up my grandma. I get food twice. And I take it to some parking lots for its first ever photo shoot. And within 24 hours, the car went from 4 miles on the odometer to 400 miles. I take it flat out on the highway past midnight, and I get pulled over for the first time by a state trooper. And then I hired my first lawyer. Within a week, I had put 1,000 miles on the car, and within a month, I had driven it all over North Carolina. Now, I do kind of hate to admit this, but the car may or may not have given me a slight confidence boost because I picked up a girl for the first time who joined me on a 3-day trip around the state. I then got home and took my family to the mountains where we spread my great-grandparents' ashes. Like, the entire month felt like some montage of just best moments. It was a pretty surreal month, but let us not forget where this landed me today. Because, okay, as much fun as I had, I could have done pretty much all that with a cheaper car and then just invest or save the difference. The reason I'm now 25 years old with a car that's worth maybe $20,000 instead of what could have been a 6-figure investment account is because I wouldn't have had the motivation to earn that initial money without this desire, honestly. Now, could I have waited till I earned 100K instead of 50K? Maybe. Possibly. Perhaps. Whether I like it or not, I center my life around concrete, binary, and often materialistic goals. I like minimalism and I like to talk about it, but when I say that, I mean it as I like to have few things. It's not to say I don't like having nice things. And the steps I took will sound like some cheesy motivational speaker talk before they sell you a course on dropshipping, but I genuinely do use what might sound like silly, like daily habits that you ingrain into your life and you're like, do they really work? But I wake up and I ask myself, what am I going to do today? And is it going to push me closer or farther away from my next goal? If the answer is farther away, I change what I'm gonna do. I check my phone and I see the wallpaper. I know it's cheesy, but it helps me because my wallpaper is the first thing I see, and the first thing I see is the goal I set for myself. Then I check my bank account to see how far off I am financially from the goal. I journal the goal, I tell people about the goal, and I consume a lot of content revolving around the goal. I become deeply obsessed. If my goal was, let me make some money so I can invest it and retire at age 40, and then I can start spending money, that's not a bad idea, but I just wouldn't have been that excited to push myself and stay consistent. I won't contest the idea that I'm a little bit money obsessed sometimes, but I definitely see it as like an in-game currency to trade in for fun rewards. It's like a flipping Chuck E. Cheese, I don't know. Even when I do make financial decisions that I wish I could roll back, I don't know. I don't really dwell on them. That would just be wasting extra time that could go towards just making up for that mistake and make more money. I think it's because I have as much fun making it as I do spending it. After all, there's been many projects that I start for money and they end up costing me more than I invested up front. And of course, this is all done more easily because I currently have no dependents. It's just me. I got my bills and I'm my own responsibility, but that's it. I'm usually not worried about other people's finances. Now, this obsession isn't always a good thing. It has admittedly impacted my friendships, because sometimes they just can't get me off the subject of whatever I'm obsessed with, and understandably, they get a bit fatigued from hearing about it. I become sometimes disinterested in other things, and I'm known to isolate myself for periods of time, to go on these like work benders where people have trouble even getting in touch with me sometimes because I'm so fixated on whatever I'm doing in that moment. And I don't want to say, well, that's just who I am, because that's not a good excuse. And I do want to be able to fully appreciate and respect the relationships important to me. I do think it's something I've gradually improved, but you could say it's one of my toxic traits when people around me become blurry due to my tunnel vision. The Tesla was my second time going through this cycle of setting a big goal that isn't for anyone but myself, and revolving my life around this goal, my first being to make enough money to convince my parents to let me drop out of school, which I achieved about a year and a half prior to this Tesla. I moved into my first rental a month after buying the Tesla, and one of my other goals was to purchase a home before I could legally drink, which I failed because it didn't happen until 1 month after my 21st birthday. And okay, I know this is gonna sound really stupid, and I don't even know how I feel about saying it, because it feels almost like, I don't know, inappropriate, but sometimes I feel disappointed in myself for missing this goal by such a slim margin. Because if I had pushed myself a little bit harder, a little bit sooner, I probably would have hit it and I would have been more proud of myself. My goal after this one was a little bit dark, so apologies in advance, but when I was 22, I wanted to feel happiness again after I slipped into what I now acknowledge maybe as a little bit of a depressive episode for a couple years. I was in denial about it in the moment, and even after the fact, I refused to admit that I experienced depression, but this was the hardest goal to accomplish because I couldn't fix it with money. However, the most important thing is that I did, and now it's in the past, gamers, we did it. The next goal was to make long-term friends, which was also extremely difficult because money cannot buy friendship. And also it requires social skills, which are learned and practiced, and I hadn't focused too much on those before this time. So I guess you can sense a pattern by now. I became decent enough at creating monetary value, but I was a little bit behind on the relationship and emotional side of things. The most recent goal, which many of you saw go down, was I accumulated some debt during my less than ideal years, but this was the easiest goal to achieve yet, because all I had to do was make money again instead of sit with my emotions or get out of my antisocial cave. But I do want to reflect on the Tesla experience a little bit more, because 6 years later, my new car is anything but new. But I still have an absolute blast in this Tesla almost every day. Everyone says that euphoria of a new car wears off within months or even weeks, and it's just not worth, especially not worth buying a new car, but also not worth overextending your budget, because you're gonna get used to it. It's just gonna become your regular car and you're going to adapt to the lifestyle inflation. This is BS in my experience, because I cannot relate at all. The memory I just shared with you is one that I reflect on incredibly often. Like, it's often hitting me daily, even on days where I'm just rolling out of bed and I'm like getting in the car to hit the post office or go to McDonald's. I am constantly being hit with flashbacks. Sounds like what's the good version of PTSD? Where I'm just thrown back to the Tesla delivery center, putting it in drive for the first time, flooring it for the first time, and all the way back to ordering it. This video was super easy to make because this memory is still so fresh in my mind. I still think about it so much, and remembering this experience and the happiness that it brought me, it way outvalues however much I've lost in depreciation. I still punch this car at stoplights and I'm still not sick of the acceleration. Even if it's the slowest Tesla you can buy, it's still not that slow. And I still look back and snap a picture of it when I'm just walking into the grocery store. Basically, the advice for buying a car within your budget makes sense if cars aren't your favorite thing. Like, what was it that was pushing me to make as many videos as I did? Why, when I found a video that worked, I would double down and do it again and again and again? And why was I trying to expand so quickly? It was because I had this in the back of my mind. or in the forefront of my mind, actually. Not to say I didn't enjoy what I was doing in the moment, because I really did enjoy it, but my motivation wasn't as simple as I like doing this. No, I did have materialistic goals in addition to that. It was also the start of a trend that my mom possibly doesn't realize, and I think she usually watches my videos, so I guess, yeah, I'll ask if she remembers this or not. But the theme is, now I just like to buy cars and then show up to their house without telling them. In 2022, I showed up for dinner one day in a BRZ, and my mom came out and hit me with, "Alex, what the heck did you do?" And my dad's like, "Oh, cool." And again, in 2024, when I showed up in a second Tesla, and my mom went, "Alex, what the heck did you do?" And my dad's like, "Oh, cool." The point of this video clearly is not about how I made the money, but if you are a new viewer, it was a combination of making YouTube videos and printing merchandise. I will link some money-related videos in the description. Sadly, I don't have a money course to sell you. But another fair question is, how did I become so Tesla obsessed? I didn't even know I could be this obsessed over anything. Well, I first discovered the brand through YouTube videos in 2014. I was 14 at the time, and I think it really connected all my favorite things as like a young teenager. Nature, cars, technology, space, robots, and money, of course. So getting to learn who Elon is and watch his team turn their near bankrupt and extremely scrutinized, constantly bashed on startup into what now appears to be an unstoppable empire of basically international influence was insane and infinitely inspiring. Tesla unveiled the Model 3 a month after my 16th birthday. And so from up to this point, most Teslas were like 6 figures, but after they unveiled this, it felt like they made it just for me. I was like, oh my God, it's like they were listening to me because it was everything I wanted in a car. I also loved how just hated Tesla was from the start. People were scared of the influence it was having, and seeing this constantly attacked underdog just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. It was great to see, especially as a teenager. Back in the 2010s, these cars were being vandalized. They were keyed, they were spit on, they were pissed on. People would block superchargers and literally try to run their owners off the road. Every news organization, including car ones, were publishing constant negative headlines, and the owners developed a reputation worse than BMW drivers. I loved how emotional people could get over something that they didn't even see as a real car, apparently. They were being banned from car events, and Tesla Q investors were constantly trying to bankrupt the company. I became pretty integrated into the community, and even the CEO himself, the guy that I'd been looking up to, he began to like my tweets. Tesla, of course, accidentally became a political status symbol, and I don't mean this year, but I mean over a decade ago, and yet it's still happening today. The difference being that Tesla has since permanently changed the car industry. Many of its earliest investors became filthy rich from believing in the company, and Tesla went from counterculture to counterculture again, but in a different way, all within the span of 10 years. Meanwhile, in reality, the owners, like me, are just having fun zipping around town in our silly little computer cars, while the general public is for some reason like pissing and shitting themselves. It's pretty pitiful, honestly. The fact people have been up to this for like 15 years now, but don't let me stop you. Do whatever you want. Though I do feel bad for the random people who just wanted like a safe, nice car for their kids who are now randomly abused by the public on a regular basis. What the flip? And on the flip side, speaking of flip, I did also discover how many other people obsess over the car the way I always did. From just strangers giving me a thumbs up or, oh, cool car, to hours-long conversations with people in parking lots and at Tesla events. It's less common now since you kind of see the car everywhere, but even today, 6 years into ownership, and I wasn't even an early buyer. 2019, Tesla was already established, and yet people still come up and they're like, oh, let me ask you about your car. Because as fun as it is to focus on the people that cope and seethe, there's been like 50 times more positive interactions than negative in my personal experience, but I find the joy in both of them. But yeah, anyway, the regret from buying this car, it's not my regret. It's just people projecting it onto me. I'd love to hear what your goals are, no matter how tiny or how outlandish. Or if you don't have any, maybe the channel's community can help you figure some out. Many of us, including myself, are active on the Discord server every day, and we really like hyping each other up on our ideas and achievements and plans. The server is made up entirely of those of you that have decided to support me directly. You're quite literally the reason that I'm able to have these experiences and bring you along for them, so I very much appreciate it. I'll also link some other videos you might like in the description, including how much money my Tesla has cost, down to the penny, after 150,000 miles. Or if you want to see videos on my second Tesla, I will link the Turo Tesla experience in the description. But that'll be it. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.